Scene 8, take 2.
And action.
Leaders have two jobs: to make decisions and to communicate those decisions. And over the past decade, I found a few challenges that some of the executives I work with face when making decisions and then having to frame and communicate them. Now, one of these is the binary trap. You can also call it the either-or fallacy. The issue arises when a person is trying to make a decision either to invest, to fire, to hire, and they're thinking in very simple terms, right? They're thinking either we invest or we fail. Either we hire or we don't accomplish our goals. Either we raise around or go bust. They're thinking in A or B. The challenge is that you need to be able to explore and seek out more options, to create more optionality, to make a better decision. Now, my job as a coach is to ask them more questions, to expand, constantly ask them, what else? What else? What else? So they would not settle on the first or second or third, but they would have a longer list of options that they can go through to make a better decision. Now, this is part of a thing called the explore and exploit trade-off. Now, if you've ever done design, this is very much similar to the double diamond method. But here's the gist of it. You generate as many options as you can. Think of it as a funnel, a lot of dots, right? And eventually you start slowly converging on a few outcomes that can have a better fit, a better outcome for your company. Now, to do that, you simply have to have the mental discipline of not reacting to the first two options you have, but slowing things down, taking the time to write it out, to ask for feedback, to ask for input, and eventually, after time has passed, you sit down with your team, explore options, and honestly make the choice that you believe is right. Now, this has one key challenge, and that has to do with our psychology. And the psychology has to do with cognitive biases. Now, for people who don't know, cognitive bias arises because we are cognitive misers. We are basically frugal. We're lazy. Now, our brain consumes roughly 1/4 our caloric daily intake. So what it does, it takes a lot of shortcuts. And these shortcuts are called heuristics. Now, if you want to make a decision, you usually use that shortcut based on a few available cues to make that decision. What it does, it creates blind spots. It creates tunnel vision. It creates issues where you start looking for information that either proves or disproves what you already think, as opposed to looking at it dispassionately in a detached way. And this is exceptionally pronounced in decisions under stress, under uncertainty, where the person, the executive, the CEO, or the leader is trying to build confidence in themselves and the team. They start basically pulling all the signals, all the information to reinforce a pre-existing decision to build that confidence. Now, it's very human, and I understand where it's coming from, but it's also potentially fallacious that leads to mistakes in the long run. Now, to prevent that, here's a few tools that will help your decision-making, but also will eventually supercharge your communication. One of these tools is called the 37% rule. Now, imagine you're looking for an apartment, a building to invest into, or a business to invest into. Imagine you have 100 options available to you. Now, instead of going for every single one, which will be, well, challenging, it takes time, takes a lot of resource, mental and financial. Instead of all of that, you take roughly 37 of these, right, also known as an optimal stopping problem. You go for 37 of these, and at the end of it, the 38th, 39th, 40th, as soon as you have a company, an apartment, an investment that is better than any of the options that you covered, you stick with that. Essentially, you're sampling it, you're exploring, you're learning the market through the sample of 37 companies or investments. That's just enough for you to build the correct mental models. But you don't get stuck on any of them. You don't fall in love, you simply explore. What becomes important is understanding how your brain works. And your brain, because of these heuristics, has 200 plus cognitive biases, one of which is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is insidious and a little tricky. It's as if, imagine you have a feeling, an inkling, a little nudge in your brain that constantly looks for information. But the way it looks for information is through a keyhole. It only looks for information that fits for that keyhole through that filter. That's roughly how it's like. This is used for political elections. This can be used in making an investment decision. This can be used to understand how people make decisions when they're buying from you, but ultimately what's important for the leaders to understand how their own confirmation bias comes into play when they're trying to make a big decision about hiring, firing, investment, and so forth. Another one is recency bias. Now, just because you read the latest article, just because you saw a movie, just because you recently had a bad experience with one hire, doesn't mean that's what you need to fixate on. Because you need to go back in time. And humans, well, our memory is fallible. We don't always write things down, and we focus on only one small segment, a trailer, but not the movie. So what you need to start doing to tackle these biases is writing things down, keeping a log, holding yourself accountable. Is this what I really was thinking at the time before making that decision? And then comparing it, especially if your feeling, your gut, and what you wrote down don't always agree. This is the sweet spot when the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance, comes into play, and you don't resolve it by simply explaining away the feedback you don't like. If you do this, if you master it, you're a lot more likely to be able to create logical, coherent structures, arguments that withstand the test from your team. You're more likely to be able to communicate with conviction and confidence, and ultimately become a better leader.